This presentation is based on the third chapter of my dissertation, Becoming Human, the Intersections of Animality, Race, and Disability in Modernist Literature, and emphasizes how the problematic entanglement of racial, disability, and animal identities can undermine social norms as well as support them. This is particularly true when it comes to Black resistance to white supremacy. From the mid-19th century onward, biased scientists drew on pseudoscientific understandings of Charles Darwin's evolutionary theories to reinforce racism. Specifically, they posited that non-white individuals were not as evolved as Anglo-Saxons, and therefore disabled as well as more animalistic. As a result of the pseudoscientific links forged between Blackness, animality, and disability, these intersections have traditionally been seen as exclusively oppressive. While there is no denying this is often the case, African-American authors like Charles Chesnutt have used these intersections to challenge white supremacy. For instance, characters in Chesnutt's The Conjure Woman, particularly Primus and the Conjurer's Revenge, Becky and Mose and Sis Becky's Pickaninny, and the framed stories Conduit, the formerly enslaved Julius, use their liminanimality to carve out social space for themselves and, in the case of Julius, form a kinship of the oppressed with a white and disabled Annie to claim social agency. Though Audre Lorde famously argued, quote, "The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house," unquote, that does not mean they cannot be appropriated for meaningful rebellion. Before we get into the stories, though, we must first understand liminanimality. This is a term I developed to encompass the complex intersectional embodiment experienced by non-white individuals existing at the intersections of race, animality, and disability. Liminanimality refers to the discriminatory social expectation that, because of their race, Black individuals have an inherent kinship with animals and are physically and/or mentally disabled. Usually, this liminanimality serves to marginalize Black individuals on the combined basis of their racial otherness, supposed animality, and real or presumed disability. However, there is sometimes the opportunity to take advantage of these expectations and subvert them, which is precisely what Chesnutt's characters do. We'll first look at Primus and the Conjurer's Revenge. This story, like all those in The Conjure Woman, is focalized through Julius, who essentially relates antebellum tales for the entertainment of his northern employers, John and Annie. In The Conjurer's Revenge, John plans to buy a mule for work on his newly acquired southern plantation, but Julius uses Primus's tale to dissuade him. Primus was an enslaved man turned into a mule as punishment for accidentally stealing a conjure man's pig. The animal connection between Blackness and animality is literalized in the story, but Primus uses it to his advantage, consuming tobacco and wine at his leisure. As Shirley E. Thompson summarizes, although Primus the mule, quote, carries out tasks similar to the ones he had performed as a slave, in many respects, Primus enjoyed more recreation and freedom in his new incarnation as a work animal, unquote. Primus then uses the clubfoot he's left with when transformed back into a human as proof of his former mule status, and escapes punishment because his enslaver believes in Conjure. By playing on his liminanimality, then, Primus gains unprecedented pleasure and control in his life, a message that extends to Julius, who successfully uses the story to talk John into buying a horse that Julius has a financial stake in, rather than the planned upon mule. Liminanimality functions similarly in Sis Becky's Pickaninny, which focuses on the disablement of Becky and her son, Mose, when their enslaver trades Becky for a racehorse. Recognizing the separation as causing mother and son's disablement, the conjurer Aunt Peggy transforms Mose into a bird to visit his mother. This solution, though, is temporary. Only by ensuring the horse as well as Becky is physically disabled can Peggy facilitate another exchange of horse and woman and permanently reunite Becky and her son. Subsequently retaining the ability to sing like a bird, the adult Mose uses his musical talents to emancipate his mother and himself. In this way, liminanimality serves as both the cause of Becky's troubles and the solution. It also presents an opportunity for Julius and Annie. As a Black man in the South, Julius experiences liminanimality, and Annie, as a disabled white woman, is no stranger to oppression. Stories such as Sis Becky's Pickaninny, which Julius relates to help Annie during a bout of illness, bond the two in a kinship of the oppressed. By focusing on their shared marginalization, Julius and Annie work together to affirm their power on the plantation. Through their collaboration, Annie deeds Julius a church, ensures he receives extra ham, and even rehires Julius's nephew after her husband fires him. As Paul Petrie observes, Annie's, quote, sympathetic comprehension of the tale's implications for contemporary reality leads to ethically principled action, unquote, that provides Julius with material gains and Annie with unprecedented social influence. In short, the master's tools may not be able to dismantle the master's house, but reforging them as a community just might be a way to move toward an interdependent world. And I know this is a lot for just a few minutes, so if you have questions, please feel free to email me at kaw64@psu.edu. Thank you.